Okay, so I'm continuing what I mentioned about on the issue of Bill O'Reilly. I wanted to bring something up that needs to be brought up. And I just have to say this because I think a lot of people are making a mistake when it comes to the issue of civil area and settlements. Now, I get it. A lot of people are like, well, he settled. That's proof. Yeah, in the civil arena, unfortunately, with the way, ironically, corporations and ironically, insurance companies are nowadays, they're very, 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 very much the insurance companies. You can't assume that someone settles something that they are absolutely guilty of something. And why do I say that? Because here's the thing: just because you settle something in a civil area does not mean you're guilty of it. Now you might be saying, but they settled. Here's the thing: what is happening nowadays with these issues with a civil, you're being sued by someone. Someone's suing you, and that someone is claiming something. You are claiming you're completely innocent, and you will be able to prove it, but you're going to have to go through a long, arduous trial. Now, you're a person, well, again, Bill O'Reilly, for example. You've got this whole insurance thing because this, Fox News, News Corp, etc., has this insurance stuff on this issue. Now, for them, the insurance company quickly starts making, um, how should I best put this? The insurance company starts pretty much going down and saying, just settle it. It's cheaper to settle it. And what you get is the insurance company constantly says, just settle it. It's cheaper, settle it. It's cheaper to settle. It's cheaper to settle. It's cheaper to settle. Can imagine that's what you keep getting. No matter how many times you say no, they're going to keep saying that to you. They're going to keep doing that. And for the corporations, especially when money's involved, the corporation is automatically going to go, yeah, you're right. We'll just settle it. I don't know much about this stuff with Bill O'Reilly. I've looked into some of it. It there's questionable areas on a lot of it, and the problem with it is at this point, and I have to say it this way: Fox News just dumping him like they did. I have to be honest. It's if you're someone who you're either traditionalist, conservative, moderate, and I want to make this clear: if you're someone who's liberal, you need to realize that the same tactics that's being used against Bill O'Reilly. It's one thing when it's Roger Ailes and he's a dirty scumbag who apparently is. Mm, it's one thing to be talking about someone like that. But the minute you start bringing in the circumstances involving, well, someone who, yes, there's supposed claims involving the person, but when they're murky, and I know some people will claim they're not murky, questionable, but here's the thing: when you have people claiming that they're murky, and you just get this situation going on here where it's not something to be taken easily. It really is. And as much as I want to say that the solution here is just to fire him, I really don't think so. I think, if anything, you, you can't just fire him. You can't just let him go, and you can't take and assume that he's guilty because of the settlements. Because if you had a whole bunch of people accusing the Young Turks of sexual harassment, one of them or something, and he settled some years ago. Again, it's like, yeah, I want to see him take him down. Let's pretend I actually don't, but I'm just saying. Let's say someone said, yeah, I want to take him down, and then they do all this stuff. And they eventually get to the point where they can take them out because, hey, we got a bunch of people coming in and saying stuff. When the real what's going to end up happening, and I have to say it this way, is now they're going after Hannity. Like him or not, they're going after Hannity with the same stuff. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going down the line. They're like, well, we got O'Reilly. Next Hannity, we get Hannity. We're going to go after the next person and the next person and the next person until they all, this goes to the whole thing with it's like zero tolerance for other opinions. How's that not fascism? I really have to be honest. How is that not fascism? And I know I'm going to get the comments on, well, he's, harassed women or such. The fact is I've heard a couple of different people. I got to talk about something else too, which we're going to have to do something on that. Because I just want to. It's going to be fun. This next video I'm going to do is going to be fun as heck. But yeah, I'm going to just finish this off here. Simply say this: the whole thing with Bill O'Reilly and such. I just don't know. I feel like we should have more evidence before he was canned. And I have to say it this way on this issue: the advertisers having pulled out like they did, where there were none. That's their right, but I also have to be honest. The advertisers need to be very careful because they could find themselves in a circumstance where you could end up. This could, and I'm going to say it this way: this could backfire on them because let's look at it this way. O'Reilly was a Trump supporter. Let's just be blunt. He was a Trump supporter. If Trump supporters start organizing said businesses who pulled out, we're not going to buy from, and your sales go down drastically enough, you're going to find yourself in a board meeting and asking, what can we do about this? The people who buy your products, if they're not the people who are saying they won't buy your product, but the people who do buy your products now won't buy your products because you ticked them off, the people who weren't buying your products aren't buying your products. It's one of those things, and I have to say it this way to close this out truthfully. You can't just go about and doing that kind of thing and being like, you just can't do that. I'm sorry, you just can't do that because it's only going to backfire on these advertisers, I think, in this circumstance, potentially. Because if it keeps going down this line, you could get a very ugly situation. And I really think we already have a bad enough time with a potential divided nation. It really is something we have to, solve. Anyway, to close this out, um, it's just I'd be very careful if I was the advertisers and all this stuff, because the fact that we didn't really have much evidence on the issue, I have a very big problem with that. But that's just my thing. I think a lot of other people, if you're honest and you think about it that way, you'd realize yourself that that's very problematic, in my opinion. But that's that. So have a nice night, good morning, whenever you watch this. Have a nice day or night.